This video is for the guy who sent me and my team a DM asking essentially, Jamil, if you have to start all over again, what steps would you take to make your first million? And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So, I became a millionaire at 37 years old, a multimillionaire at around 39 years old. And then it just started getting a little bit easier from then. So when I think about like what steps would I take today, a lot of them are going to be very similar to the steps that I took to do that. And so the way that I broke this down, and forgive me if I'm looking down because I put down literally 2 pages of notes because I want you to walk away from this video not with just information, but with information that you can turn into application. And so I think first and foremost, there's like 5 things that I want to talk to you about before I even start telling you the steps, because a lot of it is going to come down to these 5 things. The steps are actually going to be pretty damn simple. Like when you think about it, it's not going to be anything that is going to require you to have a medical degree or require you to have an MBA or require you to have like some crazy what do you call it, like IQ. It doesn't take any of that stuff, but these 5 things that I'm talking about, it does take a lot of that. And so I want to spend some time there. Like, don't click off of this thing. Stay locked in because I want to spend some time there before we even get into the steps. When I get into the steps, you're going to be like, bro, that's it? Like, that's it? And it's like, yeah, that's it, man. So, the first thing that we need to understand is that there's a big difference between having $1 million like in the bank or in a brokerage account or just having $1 million in net worth. Generally, we can get to 1 million in net worth a lot faster than we can get to 1 million that we actually, if I open up an account, I can see $1 million. So I hit 1 million in net worth way before I hit 1 million in dollars or 1 million in investable assets that I open up my Vanguard account or my Fidelity account or my Charles Schwab account, and I literally see like 1,000,000,000, right? So there's a big difference in net worth and having $1 million. And I'm going to break that down for you as well because I didn't really get that. And there's a big difference between being able to have 1 million in revenue if you have a business than 1 million in net worth and 1 million in dollars. So I just want to clear that up because that was always so confusing to me. I would hear these people on social media and they'd be like, oh, I made $1 million. And then I would come to find out that they didn't actually make that. Their company made $1 million in revenue, but what they put into their pocket may have only been like $80,000 or $70,000 or no $1,000, right? Like maybe their company made 1 million, but they had to pay so many people and had so much debt. So, whatever. So, there's a big difference. The second rule that I want to talk to you about is that we can't work our way to 1 million or save our way to 1 million. And when I say we can't, what I'm really saying is we have to own stuff. So you have to change your mindset and become an owner of things instead of a consumer of things or a worker of things. If I just try to save my way to 1 million, it's probably not gonna happen. If it did happen, you and I are gonna be so damn old that we probably can't even enjoy that money because it's gonna take a very, very long time. And working our way to 1 million is not the answer. So rule number 3 is just understanding that difference between ownership and working. The fastest way to get to your first million or millions in general is to own stuff. We got to own businesses. We got to own real estate. We got to own cash flowing assets. We got to own stocks, bonds, mutual funds, REITs. We got to own stuff. So as we go through the day, instead of me just thinking I'm going to be a worker, No, I start thinking I'm going to be an owner. Number 4 is understanding that time is going to be the thing that's really on your side. I didn't really understand this. I didn't really understand that time and compounding with that time was going to be the thing that was going to help me get to a million. It's going to be the same thing for you. Time is your greatest asset right now. So I didn't really start to get this until I was like 34 years old. Right now, I'm 44. So I didn't really start to get it until 10 years ago. But 10 years is a lot of time. Now, when we think about time, we say 10 years is not that long. But when you talk about ownership or investing, 10 years is a long time. 20 years is even better. 30 years, even better. 40 years. So if we give ourselves 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, with time and compounding, then making $1 million and having a million in net worth is not hard. And the fifth rule before I give you the steps is it's all on you. Like it's all on you whether this is going to be hard or whether this is going to be easy. There is, listen, there's a quote that's out there that says that, um, how does it go? It says that whether you think you can or whether you think you can't is going to be true for you. What I realize is like why this is difficult for people is one, they never even set the goal. And two, they have this false notion that this is hard to do. And I get it because I did too. Like, first of all, I never even thought about it. I grew up poor. I grew half my life has been spent on welfare. That's not like a thought that came into my psyche ever was like, "Oh, I wanna make a million." Like, I just didn't think that way, and then part of why I didn't think that way is because, like, I thought it was difficult. You know, you would see these people. I remember I used to watch a show called The Millionaire Matchmaker, and this woman would walk around and she would only set people up for dates who had a positive net worth over a million. I remember sitting in a tiny ass apartment wondering, how do these people do it? Like, how do you get on the show? How do these people do it? And what I realize now is it's going to be easier, it's going to be hard based off of you. It's not hard and it's not easy. It's going to be whatever you decide it's going to be. And the moment I started realizing that that was the truth, the only thing I had to do was just change my framework of how I thought, which leads me into the steps. Okay. So I got basically 8 steps here for you, and I want to breeze through these because I literally need to go work out right now. But I wanted to answer this question for this guy that sent me the DM, and hopefully you get value out of it too. Step number one is mindset. I mean, it really is an extension of what I was just talking about. But I remember somebody had challenged me to become a millionaire. It wasn't something that I just sat down and I was like, oh, like I want to do this. Mm-mm. What happened was I had a mentor and she sat down with me one day and she could see my gifts and my talents before I could. And she just kind of casually said to me one day, like, you should set a goal to become a millionaire. And it was so just kind of crazy. I'm sitting there in a tiny apartment and she casually says this. Now, this is a woman that done very, very well for herself. And so she casually says that. And I just sat there and I thought, how interesting is that, that she would say that to me? And I said, fine, well, let's do it. And so the mindset is everything because I was a millionaire way before I was a millionaire on paper. And I really want you to understand that. Like, I was a millionaire in 2013, but it didn't really happen for me until like 2017. You see what I'm saying? So you have to see it and you have to believe it way before it even comes. Like if it's not something like it's hard to stumble on to success like that. Like if you think about Olympic athletes and stuff, it's hard to just stumble on becoming an Olympian. Like, that is something that they had set their mindset on a long time ago, probably 10, 15 years before they actually stepped on that stage, before they actually got on that podium, before they actually were there in the present. They had already seen it and thought of it and slept on it and been working towards it way before it happened. They had already been telling people that I'm an Olympian way before they were Olympian. And just gonna tell you that the people that they were telling that they were Olympian were like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you haven't even gone to high school yet. You haven't even made the high school track team or volleyball team or swim team or gymnastics team or baseball team. Like, what do you mean you're going to be an Olympian, bro? What are you talking about? That's how people, and they're going to have to like go through all of that time, like in their mind, and telling people that they're an Olympian. Wow, people are going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? You got to change your mindset. And so when she was like, you should set a goal to be a millionaire, I was like, wow, I don't think anybody ever in my family has ever done that. How interesting that you would tell me that at 34 years old in a 700 square foot apartment, I could barely pay my rent and my wife wants to leave me and I'm a deadbeat dad. Like, interesting that you would tell me that. I don't even have any money. I'm $100,000 in debt. Wow. What the hell did you see in me that you would suggest something like that? And her crazy suggestion got me into the mindset. And for me seeing her, she was just a normal ass person. I mean, she nothing against FedEx drivers, but damn, she used to drive FedEx. At least I had like a sales position in pharmaceutical sales, right? Like, so I'm looking at her and I'm realizing if this woman can do it, the FedEx driver, nothing against FedEx drivers, but I'm like, if the FedEx driver can do it, damn, I can do it. And it's that mindset. So the first step is the mindset that I'm not only going to do it, it's done. Whoo, let me just stop right there. Like, I'm not only going to do it, but I've already made the decision that I'm going to do it. And because I've already made the decision that I'm going to do it, it's done. It's done. They just can't see it yet, but it's done. Okay. So, first step is mindset. Step number two is like after you decide, now we have to have very clear goals on how we're going to do it. You just break this stuff down, man. You just break it down so that it's super granular. So, I remember on a 3x5 card I had on my freaking computer that a buddy had to give me because I couldn't afford a good computer. So my buddy gave me a computer and I broke it down and I was like, millionaire. Okay, so to make $1 million in a year, all that means is like you have to make $83,000 a month, which means all I have to do is make like $16,666 a week, which means that all I have to do is X, Y, and Z, right? Like I gave myself 5 years to do it. So, step number two is set a goal for when you're actually going to do it and just break it down. Just break it down and get super granular on the steps that it's going to take in order to do this. How would I do this? Like, how would I be able to put away this amount of money? How would I start to invest this amount? Like, and write it down. And I will tell you, I never really did this until I sent an email to two really trusted friends at the time. I grew up, my best friend, his name at the time was named still his name to this day is John Wong. I met him in the fourth grade, became my best friend for years. He told me in the fourth grade that he was going to be a successful attorney, and that's exactly what he is right now. And so, after I set this goal, I sent him and his fiance at the time, who's also an attorney and just a brilliant, brilliant woman. But I sent them an email and I was like, hey, I got this goal. I'm nowhere close to this goal, but I like broke down year by year. And I sent this email in like 2014. And what I want to impress upon you is basically I told them in 2020 like what I was going to be doing and where I would be. So we have to, and of course, in 2020, we had surpassed that. So it's not enough to just think about it and set your mindset to it. We actually have to write that stuff down and say, okay, I am going to do X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to reach this goal in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is that you want, right? And if I say I'm going to reach this goal of having $1 million in the next 5 years, this is how I'm going to do it. And now it's so easy because you got things like all this YouTube, and you got people like me that are out there that's actually done it, that spend time to tell you how to do it. You have AI, you have Chat GPT, you got things like DeepSeek, where I mean, you got Google that has AI embedded into it. You could simply just ask ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I want to become a millionaire in the next 10 years. Like, break it down for me step by step of what I need to do every single week, and tell me exactly, and it's going to break it down." Okay, so that's step number two, is set the goal. Step number three is immediately join a community that have powerful people in it that now have goals like this new goal that you have. I am telling you, it's one of the fastest ways to become extremely successful is to get around people that are now thinking like you are thinking, because th- they now, what they don't know and what you don't know and what I didn't know is the minute that you set this goal, the minute you set any goals, what you're inviting in is problems, challenges, hardships, right? Whenever you set a goal, like I want to be in the Olympics, or I want to have millions, or I want to be a power lifter, or I want to have a company that does $50 million a year in revenue. Whenever you set a goal that's like bigger than what most people do, what you're also inviting into your life is problems. And we don't know that, right? We don't know that. We're just saying, "Yo, I just want this goal." Like, yo, I want this thing. Like, my wife and I set a goal to have 4 kids. Guess what we invited into our lives? Obstacles, challenges. Like, but we were so young and sort of naive. We're like, "Oh, it's going to be great." And it is, but it's tough. So, because you're inviting in challenges, you must put yourself around people that also have invited in the same type of challenges, because you're going to have to be different. And different isn't necessarily going to make sense to a whole bunch of normal people. And there's nothing wrong with normal. There's only something wrong with normal when you don't desire to be normal. And now what you're saying is, I desire to be different. And all of the people that are out there aren't gonna understand, right? Aren't gonna understand why you now have made a decision to do things that are different than what most other people do. So join a powerful community, man. Like, that was one of the things that I had stepped into that I didn't even know that I was stepping into. But I just got all these people around me that were just, they had decided to build an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. They had decided to sort of operate above this proverbial line in life. This line, there's a whole bunch of people that live right here on this line. And there's a whole bunch of people that live and think below this line. And there's a smaller subset of people that live and think above this line. And so what you want to do is you want to put yourself in an environment that literally lives where these people live. And it's just going to make your journey a lot easier. Okay. Step number four, I think that we're on is, and here's where we start to get to some of the tactical stuff. You have to, I would find a way to increase my income by at least $5,000 a month. Okay. By at least $5,000 a month. Now, what's interesting, and this is exactly what I did. So, how do we do that? First of all, you now made a decision that you're going to do this thing. You've already set goals on how you're going to do it. You now put yourself around a powerful community of people that have just decided to be different. Now, I got to find a way to make more money, $5,000 a month. How would I do that? Number one is I'm going to find a side hustle. I'm going to find something that during the day, I'm going to build my life. And in the nooks and the crannies, and at night, I'm going to build my future. And the way I'm going to build my future is with this side hustle. Now, for me, I started out with a side hustle in a network marketing, direct sales, social selling organization, right? To where I could get passionate about something. And when I came home from my medical sales career, I can now put my energy and time behind that passion and get that passion to pay me part time an additional $5,000 a month. So I'm going to find a side hustle, whether it's in, network marketing, whether it's something that I can sell on my own, whether it is me getting involved in real estate. I basically have to find a way to sell something. Okay, because I have to find a way to take my skill set and I have to find a way to put that behind something that I can give to the marketplace and the marketplace can start paying me at a higher rate than I can make anywhere else. So whether I'm selling real estate, whether I'm selling weight loss, whether I'm selling high ticket courses, well, whether I'm selling something, it doesn't really matter like the vehicle that you get involved with, but I basically need to find a way to get behind a product or service and get that product or service to start paying me an additional $5,000 part time. I can also, um, I can also try to see if I can align myself with a business to where I can take my skill set and now trade that for free for equity in the business. Now, I didn't know this back then. I I'm saying what I would do now, knowing what I know now. Knowing what I know now, one of the first things that I would do is I would find a business that needed some type of help. And I'm going to offer that business my help, but instead of paying me, I'm just going to ask for part ownership equity in that business. 5%, 10%, 1%, whatever that is. Because what that means is when I come in and I help that business be a little bit more successful and we start to be profitable at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year, then that business is going to pay me a percentage of that profit. Okay. And that percentage I'm going to now invest. On top of that, as the business goes up in value, my net worth also increases in value. Okay. In addition to becoming an equity partner in that business, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to negotiate that when I come in and I help this business start to trend higher than it was when I first came into this business. Let's just say that this business was doing $100,000 a month in revenue. And when I joined on, I negotiate anything higher than $100,000 a month in revenue that I'm specifically responsible for. I would like to have a commission on that, whether that's 5%, 10%, or whatever. Okay. So now I'm going to get equity in the business, but also I have a commission or bonus structure. I need to find a way to now take my skills and now monetize that. Okay. But $5,000 is the goal that I'm going to make every single month on top of what I'm doing now. Why? because minimum I want to invest $5,000. Now, this is you asking me what I would do, and I'm telling you what I did, and I'm telling you what I would still do today. Okay, so that's what I would do. Step number five is make sure that I keep all of my expenses exactly the same. Now, this is where you're going to become different, and it's going to be hard to become different because now you're gonna have to delay a lot of gratifications. Like, you're gonna see a lot of people going out. You're gonna see a lot of people traveling. You're gonna see a lot of people, if you have a family or a young family, you're gonna see a lot of people doing stuff with their kids. You're gonna see a lot of people buying the luxury vehicles. You're gonna see a lot of people buying the medium, the big size houses. You're gonna see a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, and what you're going to do is none of that stuff. Okay. You are literally going to delay all of those gratifications. You're going to let them do all of that stuff while you are going to stay super focused, keep your expenses super low. You're not going to be spending four, five, $600 a month eating out, $1,000 a month eating out, $1,200 a month eating out. You are not going to go buy the 60, 70, 50, 80,000 car where you have a 700, 800, $900 a month car payment. You are not going to do that. You are not going to take and put a freaking vacation on a credit card that you can't even afford right now and that you spend months trying to pay off. You're not going to do any of that stuff. You're going to find a whole bunch of free, fun things to do. You're not going to do They're going to say, "Hey, let's buy these tickets and let's go travel to Europe." You're going to say, "Go have a great time." What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure to have fun at the beach that's free. I'm going to make sure to have fun hiking every single day that's free. I'm going to make sure to go to all these free museums and have a blast. I'm going to find a whole bunch of free things to do so that I can keep my expenses low, I can keep my cash flow high so that I can invest that cash flow. This requires you making a covenant with yourself in your goals that you are going to be different. That's exactly what I did, folks. Like, that's exactly what I did. And that's exactly what I would do again if I wanted to reach this goal fast. And when I say fast, my goal would be to reach it in like 4 or 5 years, 10 years at max. I'm just not going to do what everybody else does. And it's going to be uncomfortable for me. And it's likely going to be uncomfortable for them too. Okay. But I'm just going to decide to be different. And you're going to have to make the same decisions. Um, Step number six, I've already talked about it. I'm going to invest at least $5,000 a month. Okay. So if I wanted to reach a million and see a million in the bank or a brokerage account then I'm simply going to invest this $5,000 in a low cost index fund. That's it. $5,000 a month automatically is going to go buy me a simple, low cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500. That's it. Super easy. Because if I do that every single month over the course of 10 years at 10% interest, I'm going to have over $1 million. That's it. All it took was me staying focused for about 10 years. Okay. Super easy. Super easy. Now, how did I hit it a lot faster? I'm going to tell you. So I hit it a lot faster by doing a combination of two things. One, I focus on my net worth first, and then I started focusing on building that in accounts like your brokerage account. So let me break it down. So let's just say I wanted to hit a million in net worth first. I would do that in probably 4 or 5 years. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. The way that I did it and the way that I probably go do it again is I would start buying real estate. If I'm investing or putting away about $5,000 a month, then I'm going to find an area in the country or internationally where I could go buy me a piece of real estate and have that real estate cash flow by putting a tenant into that property. So when I first started doing this, I was in areas like outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I would buy, and you still can do this, folks. You still could do this. I would find properties that were selling about, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms for about $120,000. Put $20,000 down on that. It's only about 25,000 dollars. It's not very much. Remember, I'm stashing away $5,000 a month. So every 4 months, I can go buy me a little piece of real estate. I can rent that out, have a little bit of cash flow, and watch the appreciations go up on that. Now, why am I saying this? Because this is what I did. And you can still do it today. Like, one of the very first properties that I bought out there was a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,500 square foot place, put 20% down, put a tenant in there. My mortgage, taxes, and insurance was about 600 bucks a month, 700 bucks a month, and I'm renting the place out for $1,500 a month. So immediate cash flow, now that same place has more than doubled in its value. That was only, what are we in, 2026 now? So that was 8 years ago. You could do the same thing now. So all I'm gonna do is just set a goal to buy 3 rental properties every single year. That's it. And if I do that for 5 years, I now have 15 rental properties that are valued at about 1.5 million minimum. And that's assuming they never appreciated at all. By this time, they will likely have appreciated. And so my net worth is over a million. I'm cash flowing on these rentals. I probably have refinanced, took my money out, and I've probably taken that money to invest in other things like low cost index funds. And when you combine those two strategies, you will hit a million a lot faster than 10 years. Took me 5.5 years. Now, I know other strategies that we could do, and it would take even less amount of time, but that's what I would do, right? So that's step 7 is every 4 months, go buy you a piece of real estate. Now, what's amazing to me is like I live in California and I had no idea that you could buy real estate for like $150,000 because everything that was around me was like 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, a million. It just seemed like everything was super expensive. And then I realized there are lots of areas around the country and even internationally to where you can get a piece of real estate that will explode your net worth a lot faster. So this is how you can hit a million in net worth, but also how you can see a million in your brokerage account is by using that real estate. So that's exactly what I would do. I see some people on. What's up, you guys? So that's exactly what I would do. So, to the gentleman that asked me, what steps would you take to make your first million? This is what I would do. I guess in closing, it really is about even before the tactical stuff, because when people ask this question, usually you're asking what tactics, step by step, tell me what you would do, which I did. I will tell you the more important thing to focus on, the more important question to ask, the more important um, kind of the most important step in the process is your mindset. As you think, my friend, so you shall be. If this video brought you any value at all, go on and subscribe to the channel here and join the family. Uh, do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps with the reach to be able to have more people see this video. And drop a question here in the comments about anything that relates to this video or just anything you want me to answer on future videos. Have an amazing day. We will see you on the next one.